home news channel. My name is Aza, and today we're going to be going back in time and learning about some pretty influential people of the Renaissance and medieval ages. So without further ado, let's get to it.
Charlemagne, the famous king of the Franks, came from a long line of Moravian kings who were not very good rulers, merely only acting as puppet kings. But when his turn came, he conquered and fought all over France, Italy, Spain, and then extended east to fight the Aztecian warriors called Avars. He then turned his attention to the Saxons, where, after killing more than 4,000, he finally got his tribe under control. He eventually ruled vast empire, no longer divided between different tribes and regions. So let's meet Charlemagne and learn a little about how he ruled his people.
So how was your trip back in time, Charlemagne?
Oh, so nice of you, mademoiselle. It was, bumpy, but then I take a Dramamine, all's okay.
I'm glad you're enjoying modern commodities. So, how many years did you and your army fight the Avars?
Yes, Vive la France! You see, for 8 years we fight the Saxons, and we have very good result, and we destroy them. There are none left, no trace.
That's wonderful. Through all your battles, Charlemagne, what was your main goal?
You see, to prevent resistance, I want to unite all peoples under one rule, Charlemagne.
What caused you to kill more than 4,000 Saxons?
The Saxon disgusting peoples. So they surrender all the time, and therefore they come join army, and they betray, make resistance. So to prevent that, guillotine.
Why do you think forcing people to be Christians would work?
You see, I want all peoples to become Christian, but they won't. So only way is to force.
Oh. They say you weren't only good at conquering, but you were also a very good ruler too. What kinds of things did you do for your people?
Vive la France. You see, I help, education. Yes.
Yes, schools.
We establish schools, and I also, whenever I hear something, I know all things in the empire. I try to do better.
Oh, I see that. I see that you were a very good ruler. Thank you for coming to this interview, Charlemagne. I hope your trip back is less bumpy.
Vive la France.
After Charlemagne's death, along with Pope Leo, the empire soon changed for the worse. Once again, German kings became Roman empires, thus protectors of Christendom. He bestowed land on noblemen who were to watch over serfs or bondsmen, but he also bestowed lands to bishops and priests too. However, the Pope didn't want the empire to choose what priests should become bishops. Now this soon has become known as a struggle to rule Christendom, or as the investor controversy. But what caused a big uproar was when a Frankish king named Henry and Georgery both saw each other as the divine appointed ruler of all Christians. Of course, now people were choosing sides and becoming hostile and much more. We are thankful that this struggle is over, but most importantly that today we know that that is not what Christianity should look like. But anyway, moving forward, we enter the age of chivalry. The development of knights happened slowly, like the perfecting of a castle or fortress. A knight was in command of a serf, which became like a slave to him. In order to become a knight and have those privileges, you had to go through correct training. At the age of 7, a knight's son was sent to another castle to learn about many things like reading, jousting, and serving ladies. He was called a page. At the age of 14, a page would become a squire, where they were like a knight's shadow or intern. He was allowed to go with the knight when hunting and fighting too. At the age of 21, if successful through this process, he would become a knight. Only men could be knights, until one woman broke that rule. Her name was Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc was born in 1412 in France, the time of the 100-Year War. At 13, she had a vision that would change her life. Count Bernadotte escorted Joan to Charles to convince him to give her an army to lead. Joan traveled with her army to Orleans, the center of the fighting against the English. She eventually led the French to victory. Spring of 1440, she was captured and sold to the English in the city of Champagne. From there, she was put on trial and then burned at the stake.
Burning at the stake.
We remember Joan of Arc for her great bravery in leading the French to victory and becoming a Catholic saint, although some people believe she was only a Catholic liar. But let's go meet this inspirational woman.
It is so nice to meet you, Joan of Arc. I have heard a lot about your bravery, and you have been an inspiration to a lot of people, so it's nice to be sitting here with you. I have a few questions for our interview. In 1425, you were 13 and you had a vision. Can you tell us a little bit about that vision?
Oui. The vision I had was of Saint Michael and Saint Catherine. They told me I would lead an army and then taken to the kingdom to be crowned.
Why was this vision significant?
This vision was significant because there was a prophecy of a maid who would save the people before I was born.
How old were you when you led your first troop to war?
I was about 17 years old when I led my first troop to war.
How many times did you lose at war?
I only lost 4 times at war, mainly because the opposing troops would surrender when they saw me. I was known to be very powerful and aggressive.
Wow. What charges did they... Oh, firstly, what was jail like? Why did you wear men's clothing?
I wore men's clothing because if I was dressed like a lady, I may have been taken advantage of. So I wanted everybody to think that I was a man. It was a disguise.
Ah, that makes sense. What charges did they hold against you?
The charges they held against me were for witchcraft, cross-dressing, and heresy.
Thank you, Joan of Arc. I hope that your safe travels back to your time are smooth for you.
Thank you for your time.
Moving on to the Renaissance, or known as the Rebirth, where people saw the world with new eyes. But there is one person in particular that emanated this great new beauty to its fullest. His name was Leonardo da Vinci. He was a famous painter that not only looked at what he was painting, but strived to understand it to the fullest. Which is why he did not just paint, but explored, dissected, wrote, and invented. So let's meet this talented man.
Leonardo, it is so nice to meet you in person. You would be surprised to see how famous your inventions and paintings are in these days.
Bellissimo, princessa. Ciao.
So let's get to the interview. What made you examine various kinds of life so thoroughly?
Grazie. You see, the world is beautiful, and I want to capture one sliver of that beauty in my paintings. So I paint.
That is very nice. What was the reason you did not share your great inventions?
Yes, you see, my inventions are made for good. There are wicked people who would use them for their evil purposes. So I want to protect the world from that. I'm not a heretic, nor do I fear others, but for the sake of the world, I want to protect them.
That is very bright. Why did you write in reverse script?
Unfortunately, in my world, opinions aren't safe, so we must hide them to protect ourselves and those we love.
The last question. What was your greatest invention?
My greatest invention is the flying machine.
I know that one. Well, thank you, Leonardo, for coming. It was very nice to meet you, and I hope you have safe travels back on your flying machine to where you live.
Bellissimo, princessa.
And now we have reached the age of early exploration of the New World. Now all these explorers were possessed by their greed for gold, but one in particular stands out for his wild ambition. His name was Hernando Cortez. He strove to march deep into the new land and seize all of its treasures. In 1519, accompanied with horses and Spanish soldiers, they came to the native Indian villages. They burned them to the thousands, people and all. He then went to Mexico, to Montezuma's kingdom, where wealth sprang up like flowers, and so did beauty. This place was said to be extraordinary, topped off with a zoo of exotic animals at the palace. But what did Hernando Cortez do? He killed, destroyed, and burned any trace of this magnificent city, along with its people, and thus its sacred culture. So let's meet Hernando Cortez and his wild ambition, his heart only for gold, with nothing to stop his destruction.
Hernando Cortez, well, it's not exactly a pleasure to meet you, but, yeah.
My name is Hernando Cortez. It's somewhat nice to meet you.
Well, let's get to the questions, Hernando Cortez. What caused you to take a voyage all the way to the New World?
Gold.
Why were you so cruel to the Aztecs?
Gold.
And they call themselves Christians.
Gold.
That wasn't a question. If the place was so magnificent, like the palace and stuff, why did you destroy it?
Gold.
Well, I guess we know the answers to all the questions I'm gonna ask. So, bye-bye, Golden Boy.
Goodbye to you too.
Thank you so much for watching History at Home. Hope to see you next time.